So the new 9th edition Codex Chaos Demons for Warhammer 40,000 is finally fully spoiled. You can check out my full review of all the spoilers over on the channel. Also put a link up in the corner and in the video description if you want to check that out. And it has revealed some super sick combos for the faction. So today I wanted to talk about one that I think is absolutely insane. What's up, folks? Welcome back to Tactical Tortoise. My name is Trevi, and let's talk about some Chaos Demons. The unique subdivision of the Chaos Demons Codex into 4 sub-factions, one for each allegiance to the Chaos God, has kind of broken it into 4 separate ecosystems, each one of them having their own very cool swath of combos. But today we're going to be talking about only one of those allegiances, our resident boys in blue, Tzeentch. It's clear that Tzeentch has a pretty hefty theme of buffing their horror units and their piddly little ranged attacks. Starting with 2 Strength 4 AP1, 1 damage attacks, horrors can be the beneficiaries of a ton of hit bonuses, hit rerolls, wound bonuses, wound rerolls, AP bonuses, and even damage reflection. And while these benefits seem great, the base unit that they're buffing is kind of unimpressive. Horrors are expensive and only limited to units of 10, meaning that any of the buffs you spend command points or points on applying to them is only actually going to affect 20 attacks. If these buffs applied to larger units, like back in the day when horrors could be taken in units of 20 or 30, that would make more sense and make them worth their relatively hefty price tags. But as it stands, horrors don't actually seem to be the greatest finisher for any damage combo in the Tzeentch subfaction. But fortunately for us,
there is another.
With most of these buffs contingent on the core keyword, we just have to look for core keyworded Tzeentch minions elsewhere in the subfaction to find a better platform, one with a more efficient body and vastly higher attack volume. And the answer is Flamers.
Flame on!
For just 10 points more than the diminutive horror, Flamers sport a significantly improved stat line with extra strength, toughness, 2 more wounds, and a much more effective melee profile. That all sounds great, but
mainly interested in your facility with murder.
Flamers in the 9th edition Codex boast one of the most impressive flamethrower profiles in 40k. Pretty appropriately, to be fair. A D6 plus 3-shot strength 5 AP2 auto-hitting assault weapon. And while it only has a 12-inch range compared to the Horror's 18, the faster speed and assault profile, allowing that flamer to advance and fire that weapon without caring about the -1 to hit penalty because the weapon automatically hits, allows the flamer to deliver it at basically the same or even a slightly increased threat range. And with the demonic ability to be teleported onto the battlefield, potentially very close to enemy units, you will be able to hit wherever you need to with those flamers, assuming you can set it up on the table correctly. This gives a max unit of flamers, which is 6 models, 18 plus 6d6, strength 5 AP2 automatic hits on a target, an average of 39 wound rolls. This sounds good, but it gets better. Way better.
Yeah, boy.
As we talked about before, Flamers have the core keyword, meaning they are eligible for any of those combo components that is not keyworded specifically to horrors. This means that we can easily source wound rerolls from a Tzeentchian Herald and, more impactfully, +1 to wound from the Infernal Flame psychic power out of the Pandemonium discipline. Also, useful situationally, a nearby Exalted Flamer will increase the strength of those attacks to 6. This is especially useful against factions like Tyranids or Eldari, who sport a lot of T3, 5, and 6 units, since these are the important breakpoints for that strength 5 to strength 6 cutoff to matter an immense amount. All put together, this allows these 39 auto hits from, again, a 150 point unit, to wound functionally any unit in the game on 4s, for an average of around 20 forced saves. Throw in rerolls from a Herald, and this unit is averaging 23 saves against any target without a -1 to wound penalty. For those keeping track, this means against a T7 or higher target that saves on a 4+, like for example a Space Marine vehicle with Armor of Contempt, a Knight protected by its 4+ invulnerable save, or a Demon unit with an uninteractable 4+ armor save, this 150 point unit averages 11 to 12 damage. That's damage, not saving throws. That is after the saving throws have been made, meaning a lot of vehicles just get one shot by this unit. This gets even more insane against lower toughness enemies, where flamers can easily wound on 2s versus T5 or lower, assuming they have that +1 strength buff, averaging 38 forced saves with those rerolls, and 30 versus toughness 6 enemies. Compound this with the burning warp fire stratagem to give flamers the equivalent of the blast keyword, pumping their average attack volume even higher against large enemy units. To be fair, the stratagem doesn't do anything against 6 model units like the classic blast keyword does, which means it's a little bit less good against large packs of heavy infantry, but it still gives flamers an easy option to absolutely rinse down large units of 11 or more, giving the entire unit an average of 54 attacks, probably wounding on 2s against a low toughness unit with reroll 1s, doing ridiculous damage. I don't know many 1-wound infantry units that can survive that level of onslaught. Hordes or even packs of heavy infantry like Tyranid Warriors or Chaos Space Marine Terminator bricks start melting in the face of such blistering heat.
I'm on fire! Get a blanket or something!
This withering literal firepower is enough to dent even the largest vehicles, and while it won't often one-shot a centerpiece unit, this hits massively above the Flamer's weight class of, again, 150 points. While the supporting characters like Heralds and Exalted Flamers aren't free, they are still useful pieces, with Exalted Flamers able to fire an impressive 3 Strength 9 AP 4 3 damage gunshots while hiding behind character protection. Given that Exalted Flamers only benefit the unit against a narrow band of toughness values as well, I'm not even 100% sure that that model is crucial to the combo. And Heralds completing psychic actions or casting support powers like the aforementioned Infernal Flames. Now, before I sign off the video, I want to cover one more piece of the combo that can send it absolutely through the stratosphere, especially against mid-range vehicles, things like Dreadnoughts and other vehicles with toughness 7. This is the Pandemonic Discipline Psychic Power Boon of Change, which allows the caster to roll on a D3 chart and apply a random bonus to the target of the spell. It goes off on a warp charge of 6, which is very easy to cast, and we'll talk momentarily about the casting buffs available to Tzeentch because they are relevant for all of the psychic powers that we've been talking about in this video. However, on a psychic test of 9 or more, the user can select the ability that is being granted rather than rolling randomly on a chart. Now, the +1 strength here applies to Flamers because the Flamer's Flickering Flame weapon is a strength user weapon. So giving the unit +1 strength will pump them up to strength 6 base. Then, if you have an Exalted Flamer next to them, they are going to go to Strength 7. And with that +1 to wound from Infernal Flames, that is going to put them to wounding those big Dreadnought-style units on 3s. That gets you to an average damage of just over 15 against a T7 unit protected by a 4+ save, which is enough to one-shot most T7 units in the game. Now, obviously, this is a little inconsistent. Not only do we have to get 2 spells off, a Warp Charge 7 in Infernal Planes, and a Warp Charge 6 in Boon of Change, which we might be trying to get to a Warp Charge 9. That said, we have a lot of bonuses to cast in the Tzeentchian subfaction. If we're casting with a Lord of Change, either the generic Lord of Change or Kairos Fateweaver, either one of those has 3 casts, which means they are easily going to be able to have an additional cast left over to throw this buff onto the Flamers. Those both come stock with bonuses to cast. The normal Lord of Change has a built-in +2 as long as he's in top bracket, and Kairos Fateweaver gets a stacking buff the later the game goes, meaning that most of the time you're going to be casting this on turn 2 or turn 3, he's going to have a +2 or +3 bonus to cast. On top of that, we can use the Tzeentchian Warpstorm effect to get an additional +1 to cast, meaning that these powers go off very reliably if you are a regular Lord of Change with a total bonus of +3, or Kairos Fateweaver, who is probably rolling out somewhere around +3 or +4 to cast. That also means that you only need a 5+ to get the upgraded version of Boon of Change active. All in all, especially with those Warpstorm abilities active, which you're going to be doing if you're casting a lot of psychic powers that turn regardless with your Tzeentchian casters, I think that these psychic powers go off reliably enough to call this a relatively reliable combo. Although, that Boon of Change obviously is going to be a little bit of a coin flip. With Greater Demons as absolutely the focus of the new Chaos Demons Codex, small units like Flamers are very easy to overlook, but their utility as fast Move 12 infantry and truly ludicrous damage output for their cost makes them easy auto-includes in any demon army in my book. I imagine most Chaos Demon armies are going to start with 2 to 3 units of these guys, since I imagine most will have the extra psychic slots from a unit like a Lord of Change or a Tzeentchian Herald to buff that unit to the 9s with +1 to wound from Infernal Flames. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this particular combo, and if you have any other combos from the Chaos Demons Codex that you particularly like the look of. I'm going to be going through and talking about some of my other favorite combos from the Codex over the next couple of days, so stay tuned to the channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button, and big thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Big thanks as well to everybody who supports the channel either over on Patreon at patreon.com/tacticaltortoise. YouTube channel members you can join down below in the link below the video viewer right here, and Twitch subscribers, all you people are awesome, and I love you. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming.